What's going on, New York Jets fans? Happy Friday. The NFL Combine is upon us. The hope, the anticipation, the debates. All these young players who could potentially find themselves in New York Jets uniforms next year. However, I think there are some players we already have under contract that we should be more excited about heading into the 2022 offseason. I'm going to discuss 4 players that I think we should be more pumped to call New York Jets. 3 players, 2 more players that we should be cautiously optimistic about, which means maybe pump the hype train. Maybe we want to have some contingency plans in place for the roles that these players occupy. And finally, I'm going to talk about a wild card player we have under roster that I think could play a prominent role on our team next year who kind of flew under the radar. All right, let's jump right in. First, we should be stoked. We should be pumped. We should be uber excited that Mekhi Becton is a New York Jet. The injury was not ideal. Greg Van Roten rolled up on him. Didn't heal the way we wanted it to. A 350-pound dude. Things just heal a little bit differently. Disappointing, for sure. However, let's think about this. If Mekhi Becton, the prospect, was coming out this season, this draft, where would he go? Would he even be there at 4 when the New York Jets are on the clock? I don't think so. I think he'd be in play for the number 1 overall pick. I think he is a very comparable prospect to Evan Neal. So that's some food for thought. He would be in play for the number 1 pick. The draft that he came out in was a stacked draft, particularly an offensive lineman. There was like 4 premier tackles, and a lot of scouts had him rated as the top tackle coming out. And I think he's a franchise left tackle. I really do. And I think I foresee him playing left tackle and Fant playing right tackle, and then maybe Fant moving on to get paid somewhere else, and we hang on to Mekhi Becton as our franchise left tackle, protecting Zach Wilson's blind side. We had some stopgaps in between DeBrickasaw, Ferguson, and him, and now I think we have our guy for the next 10 years. And definitely more of a physically imposing force than DeBrickasaw was. Better in the run game, better in the screen game. I'm really excited Mekhi Becton is New York Jet. I think you should be too. Also, a guy we're disappointed in, hasn't produced the way his draft position would tell you that he should, and that is Quinnen Williams, but I'm stoked to have Quinnen Williams as a New York Jet. I really am. Something to consider, he was super young when he was drafted. He was like 20 on draft night. He's 24. There are going to be players drafted in this draft class who are older than Quinnen Williams. Kenny Pickett, some have as the number 1 quarterback, is like 6 months younger than Quinnen Williams. So he's just getting his man body. And not making excuses, okay, but it is a legitimate fact that if he had better edge rushers alongside of him, he would not have been doubled and triple teamed and would have produced more. Now, number 3 overall pick, you're hoping for Aaron Donald, for J.J. Watt, someone who can smash double teams. Okay, he's not that. But I think with some solid pass rushers around him, if he gets to play a full 17 games, I'm seeing double-digit sacks out of Quinnen Williams this season. I am. I'm pumped he's a Jet. Next, somebody who lined up next to him often this season, I am pumped to have John Franklin Myers as a New York Jet. Kind of came out of nowhere. The Rams let him go. Ooh, could you imagine if the Rams retained JFM and had him and Donald and Von Miller? Oh my goodness. And Leonard Floyd. But John Franklin Myers played out of position because the Jets were so anemic at edge. He popped outside. He didn't really have the twitch, quite the athleticism you'd like out of an end. But man, he was a really good player. And had a lot of sacks earlier in the year as teams kind of realized he was our number 1 guy and started to chip him, double team him. The sack production slowed down, but the pressures were still there. Playing against the run was still there. Our highest rated player on defense for Pro Football Focus. Really, really good player. Now, if you slide him back inside next to Quinnen Williams, Carl Lawson at edge, maybe a number 4 draft pick on the other edge. Yeah, now we're cooking. So I'm excited to have those 2 And I'm excited to see their production jump when JFM is playing his natural position, and they both have some edge pieces next to them, some on either side. Okay, those are three guys that we should be more excited are New York Jets. Now, here are two players, one player and then one position group that I'm really, really excited about. I really am. However, I think we also need to have contingency plans in place and add to these positions. Number one is Michael Carter. I love Michael Carter. I really do. But I feel like running back is being somewhat ignored in the Jets offseason talk. And Michael Carter was nagged with injuries a lot last year. So I think it would be wise for the Jets to either pick up a free agent running back like Rashad Penny to be a 1A, 1B with Michael Carter. I think we want to bring back Tevin Coleman as a running back number 3 for depth. And if you're not going to sign that guy, then I think you want to wait no longer than the 4th round at the latest just to snag a running back. I know obviously 1st round, probably not. 2nd round, no, but running back in the 3rd round, I'm not mad at that. I'm really not. We got Michael Carter in the 4th round last year, so rounds 3 and 4. I don't want to wait till 5. I like another running back maybe in the 4th round. So I like Michael Carter, but I think we also don't want to think we're just good at running back if we bring back Carter and Coleman. Also, the young corners that really exceeded expectations, Michael Carter, Bryce Hall, Brandon Echols, I think they were all playing one position on the depth chart higher than you'd like them to. So I like them all a lot, but I really like the Jets to bring in a proven number 1 corner, maybe a James Bradbury in a trade, or a Sauce Gardner at the 10th overall pick. And then the depth chart really shuffles nicely into place from there. Bryce Hall at 2. Michael Carter in the slot. Brandon Echols as a depth corner number 4. I don't like the idea of just Bryce Hall on the outside, then having Echols compete with like a lower level free agent or a mid-round pick for the number 2 spot. I don't really like that. I want to bring in a number 1 Bradbury. If you want to throw the bag at J.C. Jackson, I don't hate it. Or go in Sauce at number 10. Finally, a wild card, a guy who is a New York Jet. And I don't know. I'm really optimistic. I think he can do really well. I think he could be a starter next year, but I don't have a ton of evidence to back that up. It's just sort of a hunch I have. I have a good feeling about that guy. And that is converted corner to safety Jason Pinnock, rookie last year, 5th round pick. Was pretty rough watching him as a corner, but then when he turned safety, he was the best safety to my eye on the Jets. Now, that is not saying much. It's probably the worst position group on the team. But I like, obviously, they're going to upgrade at safety, probably bring in a legitimate starter in free agency. But then I like Jason Pinnock competing with Ashton Davis and then maybe a mid-round pick for that other safety position. I think we're okay there, right? I think if we bring in, even if we don't get a Marcus Williams or a Jesse Bates, I think if we bring in a Whitehead from Tampa or a Reed from Houston, and then we draft a safety, at like 38. Probably don't want to go any lower than 3rd. But there's some good safeties who will be on the board early 2nd round. I think then Jason Pinnock is a good depth piece for someone who can compete for a starting position at safety next year. So that's where I'm at. We should be pumped. Mekhi Becton, JFM, and Quinn Williams are Jets. We should be pumped, but with some caution and some optimism about Michael Carter and our young corners and Jason Pinnock. I think he can do some things next year. What do you think? What other players should we be pumped about? What other players should we have some pump the brakes kind of feels about? Any other wild cards deep down on the depth chart that you think could be diamonds in the rough for the New York Jets next season? Let me know. Thank you for watching, and go Jets.